Professor at RMIT University, Joe Siracusa. Good morning to you, Joe. Happy New Year and all of that. First of all, let's talk about Donald Trump and bring us up to speed on where you think he is at the moment, covering the last couple of weeks.
Well, good morning, Peter and Laura. Look, Trump's in a pretty good place. His lawyers have just said that the charges against him are baseless. That is, he has no case to answer. And, of course, the charges are serious. I mean, what they're really saying is that Donald Trump is mentally and morally unfit for high office. In fact, he's a gangster. That's the idea of branding him as an outlaw. That's what this impeachment's about. Now, look, in the last couple of days, Trump has done a very brilliant thing. He's hired a couple of the best lawyers in the United States, and that's Ken Starr, who persecuted and prosecuted Bill Clinton. Did a pretty good job, actually. And then he got himself Ellen Dershowitz, who is the great liberal Democratic appellate lawyer at Harvard University, who is also America's leading constitutional lawyer. Now, he's gone on television. Here's a guy who says he's never voted for Trump and never will, and he's got all the right bona fides to prove it. He says that the case against Trump is baseless because there is no such thing. You can't. Abuse of power and obstruction of Congress do not rise to impeachable offenses such as bribery and high crimes and misdemeanors. And he says he has no case to answer and that the president was acting in the interest of separation of powers. This is a very powerful argument from a man who's a bona fide Democrat in the United States. And he said he's lost all of his friends over this because he's defending the Constitution. So what we got is a couple great performers on television, and we're going to have 24 hours on each side of calling out the case or trying to prove what's going on. I think the funny thing here is that all the senators have to be there, and they have to shut up. They have to remain silent, and they can't bring their cell phones with them into the chamber, so they can't play games or distract themselves. So they actually have to look for both intelligent and attentive. And these are very hard things for senators to do it both at the same time. But I think it's a very unusual call. Look, the president's in for a hell of a ride, but you know, most of the people who want to run against him are stuck in the Senate. And the only guy left is Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg, who get to go all over Iowa and New Hampshire, et cetera. So the timing here for the Democrats is very, very bad. And I think it's going to make the 2020 presidential race very incendiary because all the positions have hardened.
Oh, gosh. And look, I don't know whether you watched that last Democratic debate, but geez, it was mind-numbing. And no one really stood out. You know, the biggest controversy, the most interesting thing was
at the end.
The handshake, which is off camera. So, I mean, how is this shaping up? It seems so underwhelming.
Yeah, it started out with the Melbourne Cup Field. I think there were 24 people who wanted to be president. By the end of it, what we got is a couple guys in their 70s, a woman who lectures us on a health package that can never be delivered, and a governor or mayor from Indiana. I mean, it hasn't shaken down very well. And if any one of these people get it, they're going to have to spend all their time attacking Trump at the rallies in 2020, saying that you know, he's an impeachable type guy and that he's a gangster and all the rest of it. But look, President Trump, when he gets off the hook here, and he is going to get off the hook, and let's make a little prediction here, since Pete and I were so wrong the last time. I think Trump will win this this election. We were all sitting there looking at the screen.
To be fair, most of us were wrong, I think.
Yeah, most of us were. But Trump's not out of the woods yet because the state of New York is going after him. There's an attorney general there who's going to try to make his life miserable by going after the Trump Foundation, going after his kids, going after his finances. I mean, Trump's going to be looking over his shoulder for the rest of his life. On the other hand, he has sued over 4,500 people in his lifetime. He knows what a courtroom looks like, and he knows the value of lawyers by throwing people in front of him. And so he knows how to fight. But I think Trump really hates this impeachment thing because what they've done now is they've branded him as one of the 3 men in America out of 45 presidents who has been impeached. And it's not a good feeling because when you walk into a room, people aren't going to say, gee, you know, he was a good fellow, she was a good fellow. They're going to say, hey, that's the guy that was impeached. So it blemishes his record forever, and he knows it, and Nancy Pelosi knows it. And at the end of the day, she decided to stick it to him.
Yeah.
Just finally here, you know, I grew up with the Chicago Bears, and George Hellis, our old coach, used to say, if you can't win, hurt them. So
Yeah.
that's what Nancy's doing.
Well,
She's
that's what she
sticking it
wanted.
to him.
And did you see her signing the documents the other day?
Yeah.
There was 12 different pens that were lined up as well.
And they all get a little keepsake.
They all get a keepsake, yeah. So it's like there's a bit of show, there's a bit of theatre attached to it, and like you said there, Joe, that was the whole point, is to have this following him around like a bad smell, even though he's probably still going to win the election this year.
Exactly. I've got to just say one more thing with Joe Siracusa. Now, Joe, I'm going to read this because it's very important. I don't want to get it wrong. You have been selected to join an elite research consortium, and this is looking at the constitutional history of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So, as well as, you know, being a star on First Edition, you're now part of this elite group, so good on you.
That was the Carnegie Foundation in New York, and in particular, I'm supposed to look at Australia and how it positioned itself with the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and whether it wanted to get a nuclear weapon. And we've all been asked to go to the UN in April and give a talk, and then again in London in October. So it's a great thrill to be associated with something like this. And look, gang, I don't win too much in my life. You know? I'm terrible. I don't win anything. But once in a while, I get a pretty good email, and that was one of them.
Okay.
Well done. Congratulations to you, Joe.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you soon.
Yep.